Hello and good evening. Welcome to The Art of Film. I'm your host, Andres Salazar. I am a filmmaker, writer, and artist, and I am very excited to talk to you about this film today. People have been talking to me constantly, messaging me on the street saying, hey, you got this thing you're doing, The Art of Film, and you've not talked about 8.5? Come on. It's like episode 5. What's going on here? 8.5. You did the Fellini box set. You haven't talked about 8.5 yet? 8.5. By many, it's considered the best film of all time. I'm not here to say that quite yet, but I will say it is brilliant. And I'm super excited to talk about 8.5. It is a film you got to talk about. Because when we talk about film, okay, we talk about la creme de la creme. We talk about the best of the best. And 8.5 is, by all accounts, one of the best films ever made. This is not a review, okay? I'm not going to review it because what could I say that hasn't been said? One of our wonderful listeners and Patreon members said to me, you know what? Let's not call it a review. Let's call it an exploration. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to explore the beautiful film of 8.5 by Federico Fellini. 1962. This movie came out. This is right after Night of Cabiria. We really see here in the 60s, he is leaving, clearly this film, one of the last black and white films he did, clearly is leaving neorealism behind for this new surreal kind of take on life, take on filmmaking rather. So we're no longer do we have La Strada neorealism. We're now fully in, he is surreal. We're doing the dream, the bizarre. That's where he's at now. He's moved on, and this film brings a lot of great moments together. When we talk about the logline, tone, theme, and plot, the plot is a little sketchy. We're going to talk a little bit about plot, but really it's about themes in this film. This 8.5, the title comes from this being his 8.5 movie that he did. So he did a couple. He did, one film he did co-directed, so that's like a half. He did like an episode, so this all adds up together to be 8.5 films. And what is brilliant about this film is that it is this meta story. It is a film about filmmaking, right? The idea, the log line would be Guido, which is a stand-in for Federico, is trying to figure out how to finish this film, how to start the film. He is struggling with making a film, and this is the process of him making a film in the film about this film. So it's kind of this really interesting meta deal that at the time was brilliant. It still is brilliant. The cinematography is wonderful. So the logline is distracted, disgruntled, stressed out director tries to finish the film while being pulled in all these directions by his wife, his lover, the producers, and disgruntled actors, making a film. That's like the premise or the idea of it. The tone is, it's definitely this surreal film. It is, as I said before, it's not the kind of early documentarian type of thing, and it's not. He's not going like the Godard, new wave style. It is really this dreamlike moments where he plucks in these memories and dreams of his own life, of the stand-in Guido again, and through childhood, through his life, and that informs us about him, the character, and potentially the creator, right? And that the creator is interconnected with the art. And this kind of brings about this wonderful conversation that we have all the time about film, which is, can you distinguish the art from the artist? And is it important to do so? And why or why not, right? And so he's really kind of going into his life and showing us a little bit about that. He was known to have mistresses. His wife at the time was an actress in many of his films before, and she'll be the lead in some films after this film. But he had these affairs. He had the challenges with the Catholic Church and upbringing and those kind of things with his parents, and so we see those little moments in this film that we can only assume are kind of autobiographical, at least in conception, if not execution. And that kind of leads us to like the themes. So the themes being really, how does one make a film? The chaos of filmmaking, the pulling different directions by producers and actors and screenwriters and all those people, and then the celebrity element to it too, and those that are wanting the job and those that are wanting him. He is always being wanted, and he is dancing, shucking and jiving, trying to get away from the chaos because he needs to figure out what is the story, what is my story, and is my story of my film me, what is my story, and are those the same, so that's kind of like, that's one of the main themes of the film. Of course, the other would be the place of women in culture, in his life, his view of women, mother, lovers, wife, all those, and their place, their strata in his kind of world. Another theme would be, and diving a little bit deeper into that, would be, his marriage, specifically to Luisa, Guido and Luisa's relationship, their connection or lack thereof, honesty, fidelity, integrity, all these kind of themes too kind of rope into it. And am I myself? Am I being honest to myself? Am I opening up? Those kind of things. So that whole element is a big theme in this film. And when his, so let's go into the plot, and we'll kind of like jump around a little bit, because the plot is linear, but there's these moments where kind of like we move out of it to this dreamlike. So opening shot is really neat. Starts off with this dreamlike world of, he's in a car, he's kind of trapped by this like carbon monoxide poisoning. He's rolling up the windows to escape the traffic coming out of the tunnel, congestion, the stress of everyone around him, and he floats off like a balloon, and he becomes a balloon, and we see the string tied to his leg pointed down to the ground. I mean, some beautiful imagery. One of the things that, even if the story is hard to digest and the plot is out there and you're like, I don't know what the hell this is about, and everything, you can just look at this as a series of paintings, that this is a series of beautiful images. The contrast, the black, the white, the dark clothing with the very white backgrounds, light grays, is beautiful. It really is great. The positioning of the figures is wonderful. You'll see these shots and you'll see the figures layered in depth. I mean, just really brilliant artistry, just brilliant visually. So it's just a fun to look at in that way, and just to kind of like check it out and learn from that. But we have those wonderful elements in the beginning of him as a balloon, and we see, and the camera is looking as though it's the head, and you see the leg and down the string down to the ground below, high, and he falls, he tumbles. And so we begin the film after this little dream opening. He's in a sanitarium and a spa, like a fancy place to kind of like zen out and mellow yourself out. And while there, he's being bombarded by the producers, because he's right in the middle of making a film. He does not have a full script. He is still trying to figure out what the story is. He's got these actresses that are there trying to figure out what's my part. I'm ready to do my part. I want my part. The producer's like, hey, we got to go through the budget. The line item producer's like, here's all the budget items. We got to do that. There's other screenwriters that, hey, I got this other script about a post-nuclear war. Will you read that? Will you make this? You have reporters talking about, will you make a movie about love? And do you know what love means? And some of the best moments of the film for me are, one, the conflict with him, his lover, and his wife, those kind of like dynamics. And these moments where he's just being pulled apart by all these people. There's a great scene in the lobby of the hotel that he's staying at, and you see all these characters coming at him, and they want this and they want that, and he's just trying to like navigate through this world, and you really get a sense of that chaos, which is kind of fun. And we've seen that before in some of his other films, but it just brilliantly done. All the characters are very interesting, very unique. The producers, the actors and things. It's really kind of cool. So he's going through these challenges and trying to figure it out what to do. Then the mistress shows up. So he brings the mistress to the location. She's there. She, of course, is needy. She wants the attention, The wife then comes later. He brings the wife. She knows that there's infidelity going on. So the film kind of shifts now towards the relationship and how he has been denying the existence of these extra women. She's known about it. She feels that they can never connect. That's kind of the thing, and she's kind of over it, right? And you have these great dream sequences where you have a couple where it goes throughout his life. There's some where he's got his older parents that are dying. Some of his as a child. There's an interesting scene where there's a woman that is kind of like a troll in some way. She's Saragina. Saragina is this. She's this. We don't know if she's like a prostitute or just a homeless kind of like rapscallion type of character of ill repute. That he as a little boy with these other children pay money to, so she'll dance for them. And there's this little bit of sexual energy there, as well as she's not beautiful to an adult, but there's a sensuality to her. And we see that character pop up in other moments when we have another dream sequence, or surreal moment, we'll say, where Guido is there with all these different women from different parts of his life. Some of the authoritarian, religious people, women, the wife, the girlfriends, the lover, Saragina, all these different people. These women are all kind of in the same area, and they're bathing him, and they're doing these things for him that they would as a child. So we really get a glimpse of kind of the psychosis of man's relationship with women, maternal instincts, that maternal bond, that sensual bond too, that need that we have to be with women and with a mother, which are kind of all enlightening and interesting. And then we zap out of that into reality, where he's like trying to figure out his film, right? Trying to figure out how to do that. And so what's great about this whole thing and why everyone loves it is the fact that this is meta, is that this really is Fellini's idea of, I don't know what this movie is, so I'm going to just start making a movie, and maybe by the end of it, I'll know what it is. Now, I don't know how much of that really happened. Like, I don't know if this is just a meta idea. He really did know everything and he shot it, or if some of this is reality and he just started making this. I would assume the former versus the latter on that. But what's great is that we just have this really neat film where it's, as we go through this process, and it's a long film, it's 2.5 hours. As we go through this process of watching the film, we start to kind of see the film come together. And it's about Guido, clearly. It's about his relationship with his wife and being himself. And then towards the end, we have these great moments where, part of the film is he's in the middle of making this like sci-fi film, actually, and there's going to be this big spaceship, and they built this scaffolding, which is stories tall. It's probably 4 or 5 stories tall, the scaffolding for this kind of a spaceship out in the desert. And all these people are there to see it. And at the end, we go back to this area, and he is a little piper boy. And he is orchestrating. He's the ringleader of these characters of this band. Going back to his old films, right? Remember, Fellini loved Commedia dell'arte and the circus and vaudeville and those kind of things. So we bring back that kind of circus vaudevillian aspect and entertainment and theater to this. He's there as the ringleader, a boy leading this little band with a trumpeter and a tubist and a big bass drum guy, and then we see all the characters, all the people in his life, and we see them kind of like doing a ring around the rosy kind of a dance, and at the end he talks to his wife, and it's almost kind of a happy ending. It's very strange, but where he's basically saying, I want to be true to myself. I want to be true to you. Will you take me? And will you accept me for who I am? No more lies type of deal. And she's like, I will, but I need your help, And so there's this whole moment there where perhaps honesty is the best policy, or honesty will save them, or somehow maybe the lies that he's been telling himself and others have been weighing him down. Now I'm projecting a little bit there. Maybe he's not saying that all, but that's, you could take that maybe perhaps as the interpretation of it. But whether you interpret it that way or not, the fact that when you watch this film, you think about those relationships, and you can kind of like put in what you are thinking is there. It's pretty open-ended, and it's beautiful. The very end where the lights are going out, it's nighttime, and then the band walks off the kind of the center stage, the center ring, circle of the circus kind of deal, and then the little boy leaves too. As the boy, Guido or Fellini, is that little piper boy in the beautiful white suit in this dark black. Again, the contrast is so brilliant. And he just walks off. He is that ringleader. He is the person in the center spoke of the wheel of filmmaking, the director, the auteur, who's trying to wrangle this together to create art. So it's a brilliant film. It really is good. If you haven't seen it, please, you must see 8.5. And if you've seen it, go see it again. I just finished it again tonight. And so I like to do these right away so I can just like get my thoughts out there. It's introspective. It's about life, and it's got some deep themes, very meta, very interesting about just filmmaking and relationships and stuff. Highly recommend 8.5. And that's it for today. But let me tell you, we've got a lot more coming. I want to thank you for watching. Check out my Patreon. If you like comic books and you like storytelling, I've got not only comics, but I got some prose stuff I'm working on. You can see my creative juices. And a lot of it is free, so you don't have to pay money. But if you want to throw a buck, you can, and then you see everything. So how about them apples? Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, afternoon. And I'll see you here on The Art of Film every Thursday. There you go. Thanks. and arrivederci.